Hour. He is in Phoenix with the Western Conference Finals.
Is he up?
Probably up. He's got to be setting up, right? Get himself, get the sleepy voice out. Only got a half hour, so I'm sure he's up watching. Hi, Jay.
Well, if he got to get the sleepy voice out, he should have been up at 5 o'clock doing that.
Nah, you little gargle, you're good.
No, you got to get at least an hour and a half in to get it all out.
Get some push-ups in, get the
face,
blood going.
all that, yeah.
Puffy face. We heard a little bit of it in the rejoin, but Sean McVay just continues to gush about his new quarterback. As much as the first time around when he did it, and then he said, I had nothing to do with Jared Goff. Sure it didn't. But now talking about how he's watched him a little bit now in the workouts, and boy, he's better than advertised, setting up for, again, the expectations just continue to ratchet up. So the question, of course, is about the Rams and the expectations for them with Stafford there. And I found it interesting that when you talk about pressure and who has the most pressure when it comes to teams in the NFL or players in the NFL, Damian Woody was on with us yesterday, and he said it was Stafford.
Matthew Stafford is under the most pressure this year of any player. I mean, think about it, Key. This is a guy, quite honestly, that hasn't won anything in the National Football League. He's put up stats. There's no question about that. But he hasn't won anything in the National Football League. And for the Rams to jettison the guy that took them to the Super Bowl, and they've had some success with Jared Goff at the helm, and they gave up a bounty. They gave up a pretty penny to bring over Matthew Stafford. With that roster that they have, it's Super Bowl or bust. There are no more excuses for Matthew Stafford, for Sean McVay, for Les Snead. There's no excuses now. It's Super Bowl or bust out there in L.A.
Do you agree that it's Super Bowl or bust for the Rams?
I think it is Super Bowl or bust, but the pressure on Matthew Stafford is only pressure internally for himself.
Okay.
The pressure for the Rams falls on Sean McVay.
I agree.
I don't even necessarily know that the pressure falls on Les Snead, because Sean McVay was so elated about being able to get this job several years ago, and he's going to turn Jared Goff around, and oh my God, Jared Goff goes to Pro Bowls, and he then takes him to the Super Bowl, and he's had some success in winning the division, all those things. And then the honeymoon period kind of fell apart, and they didn't take any honeymoons together anymore. And then it became
right after the contract.
It became your problem,
right?
Not mine.
It became this guy.
Yeah,
it was always
that means your
I can't
problem,
work with this guy,
not mine. I'm the coach. I'm doing everything I can. You're holding us back, and because Sean has basically said that Jared Goff was the reason we couldn't advance further, and now he goes out there like Damon Woody says, and he decides that he wants to, along with Les Snead, to go out and get a Matthew Stafford, who they think can run their offense, which, by the way, he was running pretty good, at least from my eyes and what I've seen in the past. Now, I don't know all the little details of where he should have thrown the ball versus where he didn't throw the ball, or if he was supposed to hand it off this way and didn't do it that way, or
there was a lot of
run checks and
boiled over last year.
I don't know all that, but my eyes tell me he did a pretty decent job with the Rams. And then you get rid of him, you give up all the draft capital in the world to go get a guy that you think is the answer based on what he was able to do and not do in Detroit. He was able to throw for 1 million yards. You're going to throw for 1 million yards when you're losing all the damn time. Let's be honest. You're behind all the time, so you're going to throw for a lot of yards. But people forget that Matthew Stafford was once upon a time a pick machine itself. He'll give the other team the ball. There's no question about it. All they got to do is catch it. So you got rid of a guy who's a turnover machine for another guy who essentially is a turnover machine.
But Stafford never had a complete roster like this.
I'm so tired. I'm tired of that, though, man.
Yeah?
I'm tired of people saying somebody didn't have a complete roster. So you go through
He's got a defense that should be...
through your entire whole career, and nothing was ever right for you.
He played for the Detroit Lions.
It doesn't matter. That ain't what I'm asking you. You go through a whole career stuck with that particular team that decided to pay you a handsome ransom to stay there.
Right.
But your whole career, it was everybody else. You couldn't get those players that, mind you, were drafted for a reason, because people around the league thought that those players were pretty good. So they drafted him.
Well, he had good targets offensively. I mean, obviously Megatron one of them, but he had guys like
Yes, he's 0-3 lifetime. 0-3 lifetime in the playoffs.
Yes,
and I
which means
forgot
they didn't get there.
What
much.
was he there? Hey, what's he? 13 years?
God, was it that long already?
I think it's like 13 years or so. However long it's been, you're 0-3 lifetime. Let's be real.
12
Let's
seasons?
not try to. It's 12.
12 seasons.
So 12 seasons. So I said 13. Okay, so I'm one shy. Okay.
I can't believe it's been that long.
You 12 years. 12 years. You don't say that about other people that sit in places for 12 years. If you're gonna be fair about it, be fair. You 0-3 lifetime.
But you still say, though,
you did not elevate your team the way that $100 million+ quarterback should.
But it's less about. But now, all right, removing that part of it. Now with the Rams, though, you're still saying that it's still less about Stafford and more about McVay.
It's
got
more
what you
about
wanted.
McVay. Yes.
Now this has got to work.
Yeah, you
'Cause
got.
if it doesn't, you're the next guy.
Yeah, because the honeymoon period. We fell in love with him. Little Gruden. Oh my God, look what he's done. Amazing. He could, what was it? He has a memory like an elephant. He can recite plays from 10 years ago.
Well, he had teams now trying to find the next, 30-year-old who could be a head coach.
And the thing is it's so funny when they start selling that.
Yeah.
Photographic memory. He remembers everything. I'm like, man, if you asked any coach in the National Football League what play they ran on this particular day in this time and why they did it, damn near all of them could tell you. Mm-hmm. If you ask me, and I ain't a coach, hey, Key, why did y'all do this on this time? Do you remember what this play is? Yeah, I could tell you. We did it because of this. This is the reason why. This is what the coaches were thinking. And I've been out of the league 20 years. But when you sell something
right
to the fans and to their peers, you become a target when you don't live up to those expectations.
But what happens to
Boy Wonder, genius, the greatest coach offensively? You start doing that. I got to tell people, I don't ever want you to call me. If I ever become a coach, don't call me a genius. I'll never be a coach. But that's the worst thing for a coach. Oh, he's really smart. And then when that genius label starts to go away, people start to look at you and go,
well, that sets that bar. Like anything, like any young player, it becomes, okay, great player. Now they got to win a championship. Same thing with a coach like this. It's all that stuff. It becomes, all right, now win a championship. Now he gets to a Super Bowl, and you feel like, all right, he got there. Now the next thing is to get there again and win a championship. He reaches a point, though.
He may never get
him
back.
And Goff, it seemed like they were like that perfect pair. They got along great. And
they
then
gave him $100+ million.
Have that? And they gave him a ton of money, which he signed off on. And then it became, I can't work with this guy anymore.
And after they gave him the big money, they doubled down, renegotiated his contract to give him more guaranteed money because they need to clear salary cap space. Then they shipped him off after doing that.
Which is why, for McVay, this is it. Because now we gave up, not only did we give up a huge contract, now we gave up assets to get another quarterback that you say, I need this guy instead. And if this doesn't work,
it won't be this is it. He's not going to get fired. It's just people that shine, that was on shine for the last 2.5, 3 years is going away. That standing next to him and sneezing, and you could get a head coaching job just standing there.
A couple guys off his staff did,
that people going to be like, yeah, right, okay. It does that to Sean. And I've been knowing Sean since Sean was just a guy that worked on our team in Tampa Bay. Good person, good everything. And I was one of the first people to tell Sean, when you take this job, just be yourself. Don't all of a sudden try to be something you're not. Mm-hmm. Because the players eventually are going to see through that. You keep selling and selling and selling, and eventually when guys like Todd Gurley leave the building, they like, well, it ain't me. Y'all need to start looking at this coach. And then you got other guys that start to say, well, it ain't me. Start looking at this coach. And everybody talks about and raves about the defense. They must understand this defense has now lost the defensive coordinator who's now the head coach of the LA Chargers. They lost probably about 6 guys on the defensive side of the ball from a year ago that are now with other teams. So it's like this defense isn't the same defense as a year ago. There's different bodies now.
It'll also,
with a new defensive coordinator in Raheem Morris.
It'll be very interesting to see also how Goff plays now in Detroit, and if he.
It'll be ball control in Detroit.
Maybe, but the point is that if he really falls off, then maybe McVay saw something. But if he doesn't,
he won't fall off.
Right.
He'll just be whatever he was.